Good morning. Welcome to episode 50 of Mystery, Murder, and Magic.
50.
50.
50. I said that 50 times.
50. Now, I know you're thinking that we have a ton of episodes, so why is this only 50?
There's only 50. What the heck, man?
Well, it's the 50th for Mystery, Murder, and Magic. In total, we have 154 combined episodes from Mystery, Murder, and Magic, the Midweek Mini, What the Friday, Weekend Weird Files, and then like the various bonus episodes that we've done.
Count that high.
I know, right? It's a good thing that our podcast host site did the total for me.
They can count.
They can count. But anyway, we're actually getting close to our 1 year anniversary for this show, y'all.
Wow.
That's going to be coming up on the 21st of December.
I feel old.
I mean, it's been a year, almost a year already.
Yeah.
Now, before we get started today, I just wanted to let our local listeners know that we'll be in 2 local Christmas parades this year.
Not 1, not 3, 2.
So y'all keep an eye out for us in the Union Parade and the Whitmire Parade.
Okay.
Now, the Union Parade will be on December the 3rd at 6 p.m. on Main Street. And the cool thing about it being in the evening is that the Chamber of Commerce, who sponsors and organizes the parade, is asking everyone to light up their entries with holiday lights. So that's going to be a lot of fun and probably really pretty too. Now, the Whitmire Parade is going to be the following weekend on December the 11th at 1 p.m. on Main Street in Whitmire. I think it's going to be a lot of fun being in our hometown's parade. Yeah. I haven't been in a parade since I was in marching band in high school, so it's been a little while. But Alex used to be in the parades here with the football team, so it's not been so long for you.
I was on fire trucks and whatnot.
You used to ride the top of fire trucks.
I was about to fall.
Well,
Wait.
Okay.
Well, that's what happened.
Alrighty then. So let's go on to today's episode. Now, we talk a lot about spirits of the deceased, and usually it's humans. We have talked about the happy dog in one of our first episodes earlier this year. But today we're talking about the spirits of deceased pets. Deceased, not diseased. Deceased pets. And then we're going to talk about when pets sense spirits. And we're going to try to keep it lighthearted so that it doesn't bring you down. So stick around.
True.
It's Monday, and that means it's time for a new episode of Mystery, Murder, and Magic. And here's your host, Andrea Lee, and sometimes Alex. And like I said, sometimes Alex. And guess what? Alex is here today.
Whoa.
Amazing, right? I could tear him away from his Xbox long enough.
Not really in work, but
To bless us with his presence today.
once in a blue moon.
Behold the Alex.
Bask in it. You can.
Now, Alex, we've had a lot of pets over the years.
Indeed.
Even before you were born, we've had just over the years, just so many, mostly cats, but can't remember a time that we really didn't have at least one pet. Now, I know, I almost said fur baby, but a lot of our pets haven't had any fur. We've had a turtle named Shelly for like 20 years now. She's older than you. We've had snakes. I currently have a bearded dragon, numerous cats, rats, hamsters, frogs, dogs, parakeets, probably some, huh? probably some other stuff that I can't even remember right now. You know, like I said, we've had a lot of pets. And with pets, sometimes there's heartbreak because there's grief that comes from something happening to one of your babies, you know. So like back in May, I had to have my rat Ben put to sleep because he had fallen out of one of his baskets and he became partially paralyzed. Now, I was very fortunate to have had him as long as I did. I had him for nearly 3 years, but their average lifespan is only like 2 years. That day was very devastating to say the least, but now sometimes I see him hopping across the floor. Now, Nicholas has seen him too, so it's not just me, like my eyes playing tricks on me. Old lady is senile. But I also hear the sounds that he used to make in his cage, and I took that cage out like right after I had to have him put to sleep. But I can still hear him like late at night because, you know, they're kind of nocturnal. I still hear him like jumping around from basket to basket and whatnot. But as crazy as that sounds, it's not uncommon for people to see the spirits of their deceased pets. As a matter of fact, I was talking the other day with my friend Ashley, and she was telling me about some similar experiences that she's had with her dog, Baby. Now, Baby's no longer with her, and shortly before Baby passed, she and her family shortly after Baby passed, she and her family would hear his collar rattling, you know, like how when a dog shakes their head and their collars and stuff rattle. And not long after that, they could hear him or feel him jump up on the bed with them, like when they would be asleep. Ashley said one time she literally felt him crawl on her legs to get to his favorite spot on her bed. Another time, 3 years ago, she was walking from the kitchen to the living room, and in doing so, she had to pass like the spare bedroom that they have. She says that Baby and one of her current dogs, her name is Bria, they look a lot alike. So she thought that it was Bria laying on the bed, but as she passed by that room, she said she even made eye contact with that dog, and she thought it was Bria. So she said, "Come on, Bria, let's go to the living room." But it turned out that when she walked into the living room, Bria was actually already in the living room laying on the couch. I know. So she has no doubt about what she sees or has seen in the spirit of Baby. She said he looks like he did when he was around 2 years old and was still very healthy. He does still visit them now and then, and she said that besides hearing his collar rattle or feeling him jump on the bed, they've even heard him like jump off the bed. So it's pretty awesome. It's crazy, but it's awesome at the same time, especially when it's a pet that you miss, you know. Now there's tons of stories like this around the internet too. One that I read on Reddit talked about hearing their recently deceased cat's footsteps run up to the door of the bathroom while they're using the restroom. But when they open the door, nobody's there. Now, another person on Reddit said that she and her husband were taking the death of a cat really hard. They'd had their cat for 16 years and they were just beyond grief-stricken. Now, around the 1 week mark of the cat's passing, she said she was crying hysterically. And then the next morning, she walked by the restroom and she saw their cat bathing in there, and then suddenly it disappeared. And that was the first day since the cat's passing that she didn't cry. She also says that her other cat's actions lead her to believe that he has seen the deceased cat also. Now, y'all might hear something in the background because it's our cats who are very much a lively bunch, okay?
They're not ghosts.
They're not ghosts at all. But anyway, then I found a story on Reddit that was posted by a person that thought their deceased cat was maybe trying to protect them from something. They'd had the cat for a long time, so the cat was pretty old when it died. Now, after the cat passed, it started out as normal stuff like feeling him jump on the bed, or the cat's tail was brushing by their legs, you know, that type of thing. But then one night, things changed. When the person was asleep, they knew the cat was already in bed with them. But when they woke up, the deceased cat was sitting at the end of the bed growling at something. And mere moments later, the cat jumped off the bed, and then something hit the desk and made their chair fall over. The ghost cat hissed, and then the person who posted this story heard another sound, and they said it was the sound they'd never heard before. They described it as like this dull, low groan or a grunt, but it had this pitch to it that reminded them of somebody dragging their nails down a chalkboard. I hate that sound. I hate that sound. The sound was terrifying. And when the person flipped the lights on and looked around the room, there was nothing to see. Not the cat, not whatever had knocked over the chair. Nothing. Now, that type of experience has happened again. And when it did, the person who posted this story actually got hurt. And she had to go, I think it was a she, had to go to the emergency room.
Wow.
Yeah. I believe it was a broken ankle. But if stuff gets turned over in our house, I know it's probably Stevie. She's the liveliest, wildest little critter in the world. But now, not everyone experiences visits from their deceased pets. And for those that do, it's not always like as dramatic as that last one that I talked about. You know, sometimes it might be just like you get a scent, like you smell them, you know. Or maybe it's something more than that. Like I said, you know, like pets jumping up on your bed or climbing into your lap. You might even hear them bark or meow. Now, if you have dreamed of a deceased pet, they say that's also a visit from beyond. Sometimes, you know, we literally see them, like I mentioned about Ben and my friend Ashley's experience with Baby. But then there's the flip side of that, where all over the world, people say that their pets sense like these spirits. Sometimes they're even protecting their humans from like these evil entities, you know. It's living pets that I'm talking about that are protecting them, okay? But we had this dog named Eddie, and he used to go nuts staring at one of the living room walls. Now, he would stand and bark this weird, evil-sounding bark as if he were really about to attack and unseen something. Yeah. He'd also walk to the edge of the hallway, and he'd raise hell while he was, like, looking down the hallway at a certain spot, and there was nothing to be seen. But I should mention, though, that that hallway is the same place that I've seen, like, our little prankster ghost come from. Now, as far as... And our cat, Stevie, has joined us.
The third one.
Yeah.
There's 3 people here.
She's also the research assistant. But, you know... As far as that living room wall goes, now I have never felt, seen, or anything from it. But I mean, he was just like really fixed on that wall, you know. Now, at first I thought maybe because his leash would hang there, you know, on those little screws that we've got right there. Because it was just easier, because it's right by the door. It was just easier to grab his leash, take him out. And I thought maybe that was his way of, you know, letting us or telling us that he needed to go out. But, you know, I'd grab the leash and he would start becoming more frantic. I guess I was getting too close to whatever that was, you know. So after a couple of times or a couple of days of this happening, I decided to move his leash to somewhere else. And I thought that would resolve the barking, but it didn't. So, you know, the only logical explanation for that was actually, you know, some kind of spirit. But, now I found some pretty interesting stories online, so I thought I'd share some of those with y'all today. Now, one person says that their young golden retriever, who is very well behaved and rarely ever barks, seems to protect whoever wrote the story. from something that this person can't see. Now, the pup comes into the home office around 1 p.m. every afternoon and sits between the human and the home office door and does this really ferocious growl with her head raised. And she does that for about 15 seconds, and then she settles down with her head on the person's feet and whimpers every once in a while like she's scared. In another story that I found, a person stated that the route that they walk their dog takes them through a graveyard. Several times as they've entered the graveyard, the dog starts acting weird. The dog will either completely stop, slow down, walk between the person's legs, or jump up on the person. I think I'd find an alternate route to walk the dog, though. In another story that I found, there was this, it's kind of like the one about Eddie, but the writer states that since they were a kid, they knew that there was some type of odd activity in their home, but it wasn't too scary or anything. One night, their chocolate lab jumped into bed with the writer and their two sisters. Suddenly, the dog jerked his head up and started barking at an empty space on the wall. And it continued barking like this very vicious bark for about 20 seconds. And then he settled back down and licked the little girl's face before he went back to sleep. Now, as we all know, 3 a.m. is the witching hour. Now, in another dog story that I read, one writer said that their dog gets up every night at 3 a.m. like clockwork and inspects every room in the house after he's made his rounds. He sleeps in the doorway of the writer's parents' bedroom. And as he's doing his inspection around the house, he'll look at the doorway, then look at the person that's in the room, and then look back at the doorway. I mean, what the heck is he even seeing? I mean, if animals could talk, I'm sure they'd have some stories to tell about what they see. But perhaps I think this last story is like the creepiest one that I found online. The writer said that she and her boyfriend swear that their house is haunted. That or maybe their dog is possessed. Now, it wasn't unusual for their dog to wake up in the middle of the night and start growling at their bedroom door. But one night, it was unlike all of the other times. At 3:33 that morning, the dog growled so loud that she started drooling and then snarling. She was up on all fours with her head lowered. The writer nudged the dog with her foot and told her to stop, but she didn't. After about 5 minutes of that, the TV service cut off and went to just static. Then the dog laid flat on their bed with her ears pulled back. And as she watched her dog, she could see the dog slowly moving her head from the bedroom door to the TV. And once the dog was staring straight at the TV, the power went off of it. Just the TV. And the writer said it was like the dog was watching somebody walk from the door over to the TV to turn it off. I just think that's creepy, just like watching their head and you're not seeing nothing, but your dog is seeing something, obviously. Now, it's widely believed that animals do sense spirits. Pets are open and receptive to such things, much like little kids, but there's much more to it than that. Now, dogs have a sense of smell that is far more superior than that of a human, so it stands to reason that paranormal activity could very well be picked up on by those sweet snoots. Now, I mean, it makes sense because dogs are used to sniff out drugs, and they use them to hunt for criminals, and they can even sniff out certain types of illnesses like diabetes and cancer. Both dogs and cats, and many other species for that matter, have extra sensitive hearing. Cats can detect frequencies 4 to 5 times higher than humans do. They use it to hone in on prey, and you've probably noticed that dogs will howl when they hear loud or high-pitched noises like sirens on emergency vehicles. So who's to say that that sense isn't also handy for detecting visitors from another realm? Now, it's also believed that animals can sense electromagnetic fields, but they haven't tested that theory yet. And there must be something to this, because many ghost hunters or paranormal experts have added dogs to their ghost hunting teams. And you may remember a dog named Maddie, who was on the popular TV show Ghost Hunters. Have you had an experience with the spirit of a deceased pet? Or maybe pets that you have or have had that acted weird without explanation? We'd love to hear about it. You can always message us on our social media pages, or you can use the contact form on our website, www.mysterymurdermagic.com. There's no dots except for after the www and before the com, okay? Now, the contact form, if you go to the website, is down at the bottom of the homepage. Well, that's all we have time for today. Be sure to come back on Wednesday for a new episode of the Midweek Mini. Be blessed, y'all.